Hello, I'm back because I really wanted to read something some more, and also I'm not used to the free time. Alright. Beast of Gaia. You now possess the ability to call and summon animals to aid you. You can radiate an inaudible frequency reaching up to 5 kilometers that any non-sentient animals will feel compelled to follow. Additionally, you can summon a single non-sapient animal of your choice at any time from anywhere on Earth. You can choose to summon any animal possessing a certain characteristic, any animal of a specific species, or even a specific animal such as your pet. You can even access the past and summon any animal or creature to the present moment. This includes alternate Earths where different species may have thrived. You can send it back to where you summoned it from and summon a different animal at any time. And if it sustains significant injuries, it will be automatically unsummoned and returned to its original location. You will receive detailed descriptions of all creatures available for summoning. It's worth noting that animals or creatures brought from the past to the present cannot breed. Any such called or summoned creature will be loyal to you and will be empowered similarly to a mid-range brute. A monkey could flip a car, while an elephant might be able to win a toss-up against a Tinker Tech monster truck. You can also share the senses of any animal you called or summoned, and even communicate with them. Over time, this power will induce physical changes in the user, such as small fangs, slit eyes, claws, or even a tail. Additionally, you gained heightened senses akin to those of the animals you control. Eventually, your ability to communicate with animals you summoned or called will be extended to every animal. If you have negentropy, you can now summon up to 3 animals simultaneously, and the number of animals you can summon will grow over time. Arcadia. Avalon. Beast of Gaia and Avalon have both synergized thanks to their shared effects on animals. Avalon uses this connection to give your summoned animals an enhanced healing factor along with enhanced durability and stamina. It is now also possible to summon up to 3 animals without negentropy, with negentropy allowing for an immediate 5 and causing the amount to grow at an accelerated rate. Grim Pools. You are capable of making monsters that spawn from the pools of a black, tar-like substance that drops from your body. The shape, abilities, and size of these Grim are decided by you and the size of the pools from which they spawn. Grim made by this power are all highly aggressive, can sense negative emotions, are made of the same substance that created them, and have bony protrusions coming from their body, usually in the form of masks and armor. There is no limit to how big your Grim can be, however, it takes increasingly more stamina to do so. You have a slight master power that lets you command them telepathically, however, you cannot command Grim that are too far away to hear you. You can only grant abilities that are equal to or less than 10 SP. Personal Army. You have your own personal army with technology equivalent to World War II, comprised of 1,000 soldiers, 300 armored personnel carriers, 240 armored cars, 25 tanks, 30 fighters, and 15 bombers. They are appropriately manned with the required personnel. If you summon them, it will look like they came out of a portal. If someone or something is ever destroyed, they or it can be summoned to peak condition after a week. All the soldiers are 110% loyal to you. willing to eat and die in your name. They aren't exactly resistant to master effects, but their loyalty will never waver. You always know where your soldiers and equipment are, and if they are still in working condition, any information they gather will be known to you. They also know what you know and what you want them to do. Subordinates and superiors. Required. Thinker. New personal record. About face maggots. Stand at attention. Learn from a soldier who's reached perfection. All your soldiers are able to imitate your skills no matter what it is. This is also applied in reverse, so if they get good at a skill, then you'll get good at it too. This also comes with an uncanny ability to teach, which might seem strange to others. Idle manifestation. Every day you gain 5 random, very weak abilities, and you can use as many as you want simultaneously. The strength of what you receive fluctuates a little bit, but it will never be very powerful nor completely useless, going from slightly below T0 and T0 to rarely low T1. Abilities are divided into 3 categories: minus, plus, and equal. Minus are powers like slight resistance to heat or launching things you are touching as if you use your hands. Plus are skills that like being better at throwing knives or crafting medicine. Equal are a combination of minus and plus, essentially abilities that contain both a power and a skill. Like being able to walk on any surface combined with a very good balance. Each power has a level starting at 0 and can go up to 10, and repetitive use will raise their level. The time it takes to do so depends on their strength and level. When an ability reaches level 10, it will either evolve itself or allow you to fuse it with another ability that has reached its limit. Doing either of them makes the ability level 0 again, though it doesn't become weaker. Leveling up an ability adds its initial strength to itself. Example: when resist an additional 100 degrees of heat becomes level 1, the 100 degrees will become 200, another level upgrades to 300, etc. Example of the evolution of an ability. The capacity to generate fire from your fingers becomes the capacity to create fire from your entire hand. Examples of fusion of abilities. Example of the fusion of abilities. Increased memory retention with being able to think faster would result in even better memory and thinking speed and the capacity to play your memories like a video in an instant. When you receive copies of an ability you already possess, you can feed it to that ability to raise its level, skipping the time necessary to train it entirely. All of your abilities have names that you can use to search for them using a mental search guide. Esoteric manifestation required. Gamer system or gamer system. Shardless or negentropy required. Shardless or esoteric knowledge. Your abilities are now esoteric in origin. What this means is that the abilities you gain no longer need to be bound to the logics of the world, though they may cost MP, SP, or even HP. Actual time travel, magic, and conceptual things are now eventually within your grasp. These abilities you receive start 10% stronger. Skilled manifestation, polymath. You can fill one of polymath slots with one of your plus or equal, allowing you to temporarily access the evolved version of those abilities. Stolen manifestation, Tao. Your abilities become valid targets to be granted to someone. More specifically, their unevolved / unfused / unleveled selves are the valid targets. Essentially, it allows you to grant someone an ability at the strength it was when you first got it. This works exactly like in Tao. You can use your abilities in place of a T0. 108 plus manifestations. By keeping a skill for a time, you will gain an ability that not only is a copy of that skill, but also is a 108th 1/108 of the original skill at the time of the copy instead of 1 through 108. This allows you to retain the skill while freeing up a slot for something else. What this means is that if you copied the capacity to create fire at 1/8 and later the original user of power was capable of controlling fire in addition to increasing the output of their fire, when you receive the ability based on that skill, you won't be able to control and create fire at the same level the original user can now. You will only be able to create fire at the same level they could when you copied it. These abilities do not count towards your daily limit of 5 abilities. Ink Manifested. Acquired Brand and Bond. The skin of your non-dominant hand has the color of the canvas. Drawings represent your abilities, fade in and out of it. You can feel sensations and feelings coming from them, almost like they are alive. The warmth of your fire creation, the confidence of your force field, the giddiness of your flight. I wonder what that's from. By writing or drawing on this canvas, you can direct what abilities you will receive daily. Draw a sword, and you would receive the capacity to create swords you have wielded. Write fire, and you could receive the capacity to absorb it. Your abilities have gained a level of sentience, and perhaps even sapience, depending on what they are. The intelligence increases when they level up. As the one they are bound to, your abilities will use their newfound intelligence to help you. Maybe your future sight is constantly communicating with your danger sense and force field in order to protect you. Or maybe a multitasking dependent power starts using its own mind to manage itself. Starburst. You are capable of traveling at incredible high speeds, up to Mach 600. Mach 600 speed. 460,361 miles per hour. Okay, so not that fast. Hold on. MPH around the world. Around. X. Alright. How long would it take to circle there? .6 minutes. How fast does light travel around the Earth? Okay, that's like way faster, but that's still pretty good. You can get anywhere. Your movements create a shock wave that can knock nearby objects or people off their feet. And you can use your own body as a weapon, ramming into targets at incredibly high speeds. Your body is also empowered to the degree needed to operate at such high speeds. You're also capable of breaking your body into millions of tiny fragments made of plasma, which can move separately and recombine at will, dramatically increasing your maneuverability and invasiveness. Transforming into your breaker form and reconstituting immediately heals you, and you'll automatically shift into your breaker form if enough damage is taken. You have a secondary thinker ability that allows you to perceive and navigate through your surroundings at high speeds, detecting obstacles and predicting your enemy's movements. Override. By touching a parahuman, you gain the capacity to activate, shut down, and control their power, not as if it was yours to begin, but beyond. Clock Blocker never knows how long his power lasts, but you would. Eidolon can't choose his powers, but you can. You gain access to the shards data required from studying that specific power set in one similar to you. What this means is that you can use a parahuman's power better than they ever could. When you are no longer touching said parahuman, you lose the control you have over their power but retain the data acquired. When you override a parahuman's control over their power, it mutates, becoming detrimental to them and beneficial to you. The mutation disappears when they are no longer affected by your power, resurfacing every time they try using their power against or on you. If you took control over Teacher's power, it would alter the loyalty aspect depending on what would be beneficial to you, like changing who is loyal to who, or changing loyalty to disobedience. The other aspect of the power is able to cause minor boost to any power without shifting its parameters, and the Thinker Tinker powers it gives is slightly stronger. As long as they are being affected by your power, you can steal the protection against their own powers any human has, and either use it on yourself or give it to something else, or return it. If a power has something it can affect, like inorganic or organic matter, it will treat you as that something. And if a power bypasses the Minton limit, it will suddenly have one when it is used on you. E.g., Cherish would be unable to sense or affect your emotions because to her power, you have none. Behemoth would be unable to use his kill aura on you. You can turn it off and on. Alternatively, you can instead selectively blacklist certain powers from being affected by this and apply conditions to this blacklist, allowing you, for example, to be only affected by Panacea if she is healing you in a way you approve. Treason is forbidden. Required noble or charlatan. I could actually get this. You can blacklist powers from working against or on you at all, and can apply conditions to each blacklist. Punch a brute, their durability doesn't work if you are the one doing the damage. A blaster shoots at you, their attack will either pass through you harmlessly, or will simply disappear if it touches you. Clairvoyant, he cannot see you and things around you appear in a different way so they don't give away there is supposed to be something there. You can turn this on or off at will. If a power is being used against or on you, you can change its Manton limit or add one if it doesn't have it. You can also do this to those you are overriding. Though applying conditions, you can make it switch between what it originally was and what you changed it to. You can apply conditions to switch between multiple Manton limits. Admin credentials. Required manager. You can use manager's capacity to manipulate your powers on anyone you are overriding. Musketeer. Huh. Your shard enables you to summon single-use muskets around you, which turn into mist and disappear after use. These muskets are extremely durable, capable of withstanding multiple hits from mid to high tier brutes before breaking. Additionally, they have virtually zero bullet drop when fired. You can choose how powerful each musket is when summoning it. Once fired, the musket ball can be strong enough to pierce titanium, and even cause high-tier brutes to have second thoughts. You can summon as many muskets as you want, but you're only limited to having 200 active muskets around you at a time. Your shard also grants you the power of telekinesis when summoning your muskets, along with excellent marksmanship. This telekinesis allows you to manipulate and control the muskets as if they were another limb, knowing their exact positions and where they are aiming at all times. The telekinesis also extends to controlling the musket ball once fired, making it easier for you to hit your targets accurately. Although you have perfect control over the muskets when they are close to you, your telekinetic control weakens with distance, reducing both accuracy and control. The American way required, Miss Militia. Your muskets can now be any mundane, modern firearm. They will appear fully loaded. The firearm automatically disappears after it's used up all of its ammunition. The Second Amendment. I don't know what that little circle means. Fuck. Amendment. You can create musket variants of any gun you have made before. If you have the American way, then you can summon full-fledged versions of any gun you have made. Although it will be under the same restrictions, making it disappear after it used up its ammo. Evolution and escalation. You have gained access to 3 types of power slots: the Source, the Evolver, and Storage. The Source power slot can interface and copy the ability of any parahuman you know of, while the Evolver power slot starts with any power you can think of with a limit of 5 SP. The Source power slot and any other power you have will then, upon your choice, feed its usage data analysis to the Evolver power slot, slowly evolving the power inside into new forms over time through the Source's usage, which will cause the Evolver power to take on capabilities and characteristics of the Source's power data. However, this is a slow process, with many powers taking months to evolve due to the growing time tripling in length for every doubling of SP past the beginning of 5 SP until the maximum of 20 SP, or never if you have a neg entropy. You can then store these evolved powers into one of 5 storage slots where they can be held in their current state until you wish to use them by placing them inside the Evolver slot again. If you have neg entropy, you can generate a new source slot by deleting a power and its data worth 20 SP or more. A new Evolver slot for a power worth 10 SP or more, and a new storage slot for a large fight's worth of data and power. If you have esoteric knowledge, you can copy powers from a person, real or fictional, you know of with powers equal to or less than 20 SP. Ephemeral. You have a single 3 with neg entropy slot that is filled with a random power of varying strength that is designed to help you in some way. This power lasts anywhere between 1 to 10 seconds, and you do not receive a power that you couldn't use within those seconds. So you wouldn't receive a power that would let you see powers if there is no powers nearby. These powers can be as strong as Prime Eidolon in any active external power effects cease to exist after the power is substituted while permanent ones stay. What power is given to help you will always be mostly random, even if the situation is the same. Instead of always receiving some sort of brute power every time you are about to be hit, you might end up with a reactive teleportation, for example. You consciously and unconsciously know what each power you receive can do and can use them as if you had them for years. Got to be like any parahuman you know while the power slots with any power you can. Alright. Battery powered. You have a collection of powers that you can choose to use. You are limited to only one at a time. If particularly powerful, three at a time. If very weak, or two at a time. If anywhere between both. These powers can be as strong as Prime Eidolon. Each power has a source of battery filled with energy that is consumed when you slot that power. Emptying a battery makes a power temporarily unusable until it is filled again by removing the power from the slot and waiting. The strength of the power determines how much energy it consumes while slotted. Your strongest powers last less than 10 seconds, while your weakest lasts 1 minute. Neg entropy increases the limit of the amount of powerful weak/middle powers by 1. It also increases the battery of your powers. Your strongest powers last 30 seconds, while your weakest lasts 2 minutes. Choose to use your limited only one at a time if particular. Oh, so not even any power, just you have a collection of powers. Decaying strength. You have a collection of powers that you can choose to use. You're limited to only one at a time if particularly powerful, three at a time if very weak, and two at a time if anywhere between both. These powers can be as strong as Prime. Every time a power is used, it decays until it is completely unusable. When not in use, it will regenerate. This decay expects the power, so sometimes it will affect the entire power. Only a part of it or switch between what is affected, e.g. fire creation and manipulation. Using it, for example, eventually remove the creation aspect, leaving only manipulation. Using the manipulation would eventually remove that too. Used, it decays until it is completely unusable. When not in use, it will regenerate. This affects aspects of the power. So sometimes apparently part of it or switch between what is affected. Alright. Suite of powers. You have five powers: super strength, invulnerability, flight, variable vision, and super speed. These 5 powers, however, are not always at their full strength, as you can only have one active at full power at a time, while the others only work at a diminished capacity. Your strength at full power would allow you to surpass even the strength of Alexandria and allow you to dig into the upper layers of an Endbreaker. Then again, it wouldn't do much to the deeper layers. In its weakened state, your super strength decreases significantly. However, you would still be allowed to exert enough strength to the point where lifting 20 tons would be difficult, but not extremely tiring. Your invulnerability at full power would allow you to withstand attacks from even the strongest of foes, as it would function similarly to Girl's shunting ability, as any incoming attacks would not damage you. However, this would not discount the fact that physical impact will still move your body through space. In its weakened state, regardless, your invulnerability would function in a more mundane form by dispersing impacts to your body up to a point where getting hit with a car wouldn't hurt, but having a semi-truck fall on you would almost surely kill you. Your flight at full power would allow you to fly at supersonic speeds, easily surpassing the speed of sound by many times. However, in its weakened state, your flight would permit you to fly on a level below the speed of sound, yet still extremely fast. Your variable vision, unlike your other powers, is a miniature collection of vision-based abilities such as laser vision, X-ray vision, and telescopic vision. At full power, your laser vision would be comparable in strength to a standard blast from Legend. Your X-ray vision would allow you to see through anything even dimensionally distorted space. Your telescopic vision would defy the curvature of the planet and allow you to see up to 100 kilometers away. However, in their weakened state, your laser vision would be comparable in strength to run-of-the-mill bullets in terms of power. Your X-ray vision would decrease to the point where your heavy metals would be too tense to see through, and your telescopic vision would reach a mere kilometer away. Finally, your super speed at full power would allow you to move through and perceive the world around you at Mach speeds. In its weakened state, however, your physical and mental speed would decrease to around that matching a bullet train. However, not always at their full strength, as you can only have one active. Unity of all. Oneness, harmony, synthesis, concepts, shards, or entities are aware of, yet wholly unfamiliar in a closer view. It is to be expected, naturally, that while the beings are terrifyingly intelligent in terms of critical thinking, both in technical and adaptive means, they lack any capacity for lateral or abstract thinking for the life of them. That is why the cycle exists. On the back of other species, they draw upon their creativity to find the solution of limited resources, entropy. Taking notice, the entities endeavored to study these notions in the only way they could, missing the forests for the trees. What they come up with is still commendable all the same by their standards, as this power is the result of applying the value of unity in their eyes. You can unify and merge with any and every material or tangible object, either a person or a parahuman, an element or component of your vicinity or world, like the asphalt of the pavement or the phenomena of friction. With your unification being targeted or indiscriminate. A targeted unity is to a specific singular object / person or several. Linking with a person melds and links you to this person mentally and physically, linking their mind, body, or powers if they are parahuman in the process, which grants amalgamating, morphing, and connecting capabilities at a physical and paranatural level, linking to an object or a particular part of your area like a wall. You either merge with it while also possessing it, progressing and evolving through the object's inherent traits or aspects. Among other tricks, linking with particular physical phenomena, from kinetic energy, mass to multidimensionality, grants control of this physical aspect of reality, receiving traits from it, and a breaker form based on the physics in question. This type is almost instantaneous on objects and aspects of the world. The effectivity on people conversely depends on the person's compliance and or nature respectively. And then discriminating to a general area, the environment, city, district, a park's nature, giving control, awareness, and understanding to those in the area regards the union force focus. With all the earlier applications of targeted unity, both less potent yet varied. This type of unity is limited to never going further than area 300 m squared. 300. Let's go feet. 300 times 300. 300 times 300. 90,000. 90,000. 295,000. 275. That's very big. We're going to assume that that's not what it meant. With all the ease and performance are proportionally better the closer it is to you. Be as it may, all of this can't last forever, as being powered on limited reserves, it lasts no longer than 2 hours of union on either type. All or nothing effects, endbringers, and entities can soundly reject this power. Negentropy removes the energy costs, your union lasting permanently, and Charles, while doing the same as negentropy, also extends the power sphere of influence to roads untold. All roads of the supernatural and metaphysical, encompassing all existence, mutates this into being a more abstract as a result. Communication, synchronization. With unity, your merging with your passenger implies the ideas of communion, seamlessly establishing a connection where there is more synchronization between the host and shard. avoiding the mental degradation through the communion's deeper connection and understanding, which in turn helps with directly communicating and endearing oneself to your shard, knowing their preferences and utility function. Exchanging a single point corona potential and gamut with being spiderwebbed across your brain, allowing your powers, grasp, and variable strength to be magnified the more you commune and act conforming your shard's objectives in simple data collection. This agreement is enough to sidestep some of this powers and shard's imposed restrictions to agree. What follows is the humanization of your shard, growingly becoming more fully sentient in turn. Otherness. Fractal of entropic decay. Tropic decay supplements unity, manifesting its dark function, that is, distinction or disunity, granting them the additional application to forgo or deny anything from reality, using entropy as the basis for their separation. Being innately extensive, it only applies indiscriminately, or when targeting overarching components of reality. Foregoing or denying anything causes you to be independent from any part or concept within the area 300M2, being outside or separate any physical law in your range, an expression of freedom with the repercussion of a pseudo-breakoff form conveying this. This unironically causes immutability from all or nothing powers like staying or stealing, as you forsake the very foundations of which their all or nothing effects originate for them to affect you. Concert, Quartermaster, Quarterstone. Your networking abilities are built up and given wider access through unity, coalescing into one cornerstone. Aids in the affinity, both in an individual and parahuman perspective, allowing full malleability and all-around sensitivity of the members' entirety. Quartermaster aids in the members. Holy shit, I'm not really getting any of that, but I'm reading it. Quartermaster aids in the members' maintenance or guidance, evolving this into a union, with all of the parts being metaphorically one. All powers, skills, and perks percolate and consolidate into a repository of knowledge and power, acting in concert with the needs and wants of you and being more responsive and adaptive. All members have the same abilities to share in performance. What the fuck? God damn, that's a lot of big words I don't fucking know. Or at least I don't know how to use them in that context. You know what I mean? I heard a rumor. You have the ability to warp reality, creating creatures, objects, and locations born from the collective imagination and beliefs of people, which are known as rumors. For example, if people start to believe that there are 10 sets of swings in a park, you can manifest it into reality. Similarly, if people believe serial killers on the loose, hunting them in particular, you can bring this figure to life. The strength, duration, and intelligence of these rumors are directly proportional to the number of people who believe in their existence. The more widespread and fervent the belief, the stronger and more autonomous the rumor becomes. Conversely, if people start to uncover the truth that these phenomena are merely products of your power, the rumor weakens and may eventually dissipate. Intelligent rumors, such as beings with thoughts and personalities, remain loyal to you. However, their loyalty is not absolute. They possess a degree of free will and can make independent choices. Non-intelligent rumors, such as objects or simple creatures, are completely obedient to your will without question or deviation. Tactical Cape. You have the ability to create tinker tech that mimics or emulates superpowers. You can design gloves that grant tactile telekinesis or cryokinesis, helmets that allow you to control others, or provide extra information based on inference. Guns that shoot fireballs or other energy blasts. Armors that can rewind time at intervals or make you difficult to perceive. The more exotic or powerful the power is, the more expensive and rare the required materials. You have 2 slots to assign a PRT classifications to your tinker tech. which are rotated each week. These slots allow you to create powers based on one of the 12 power classifications. The first slot is for method specializations, determining how the tech will function overall. The second slot is for broad specialization, specifying how the tech will achieve its effect. After choosing a classification, you will need to rotate that slot a specified number of times before it can be selected again. You will always be able to service, repair, and rebuild it, and it as exact as before any team completed before the change. And one will be a bracelet with automatic luck manipulation based on micro-telekinesis within a radius around you. The method specialization would be Shaker because it interacts with the environment, and the broad specialization would be Thinker because it will scan, calculate, and send instructions for what to do. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Techie. When you have the opportunity to study a cape's power in person, you can incorporate it as a third suitable slot from a narrow specialization. This allows you to integrate that exact power or similar expression of it into the tech you create or update. This specialization excels in building tech that heavily utilizes the same power, but offers limited customization. For instance, you could develop a super evolving tech using Crawler's power or improve time reset devices with Alabaster's power. If the studied power belongs to a Tinker, you gain broader customization abilities, though you won't exceed that cape's expertise. Once a power is sufficiently analyzed, it can be integrated into any Tinker tech you build, regardless of the need for in-person study. Power synergy allows combining multiple study powers to create unique hybrid abilities in your tech. Hell on Earth. You gain access to a testing world for the shards, a hellish landscape covered by an eternal fog. This world serves as a brutal testing ground where experiments are conducted by the shards, even leaving the environment scarred and warped. Within this world reside parahumans, or what can barely be considered parahumans, twisted so greatly by their trigger events that they have become monstrous in both form and mind. Many have lost their human appearance entirely, while others only vaguely resemble... Hold on real quick. What's it called? That game? It's not DayZ. Or multiplayer game. Yeah, wait, Outlast? No, that's not right. Oh, Dead by Daylight, alright. Dead by Daylight. Fucking... Connect, yeah. Oh shit, he's real. That's a real thing. Alright. Many have lost their human appearance entirely, while others vaguely resemble their former selves. Their grotesque mutations making them more beast than human. Over time, the extreme conditions have forced the few non-parahumans to evolve into far stronger variants of themselves. Through your connection to this world, you have two powerful abilities. First, you can summon any parahuman from this world to aid you. Your power helps you select the most suitable parahuman for your needs, presenting you with a list of potential candidates, each with their specific abilities and characteristics. These summoned beings are loyal to you and will follow your orders, but will still retain their monstrous tendencies. The strongest being that you can summon is around Cannon Start Eidolon level. You can summon no more than one at a time, 3 with neg entropy. Second, you can trap anyone into this hellish world. To do so, all you need to do is touch them. Once trapped, they are subjected to the same harsh conditions and relentless torment that have shaped the current inhabitants. This can be a fate worse than death, as the eternal fog and constant threat of attack from monstrous parahumans ensures that escape is nearly impossible. Additionally, you possess constant omniscience regarding those you have sent to this world. This means you have an unerring awareness of their status, actions, and location at all times. If you wish, you can bring them back from the testing world at any moment. Depths of Hell. Acquired. Fairy Queen or CYOA. Trump, Fairy Queen, has interacted with your power, granting you access to any parahumans who died in the testing world, including those you send there. You can now summon any of your parahumans as shades. The benefits of shades include their effective immortality and absolute loyalty, but they are limited to your immediate area. Additionally, you can choose to summon any shade as a monstrous parahuman. This form gives them some independence and allows them to operate far from you, but with the drawback of limited control and the risk of their death. The amount of shades and monstrous parahumans you can summon at once does not change. Required, Changer, the End Becomer, or Bringer of the End. Through you, your Endbringer or Endbringer form has established a connection to the testing world. From this link, it has gained the power of the core entity of the testing world. From this link, it has gained the power of the core entity of the testing world, an Endbringer-like being that manages the experiments of the shards in their absence, manifesting as an ever-present fog. Typically passive, this entity works only to prevent the world from collapsing, ensuring the experiments continue uninterrupted. Empowered by this connection, your Endbringer or Endbringer form can now transform into a fog that can freely teleport people within it. Wherever they appear, a smaller fog acts as a gate. They can use this as a weapon by shredding anyone in the fog, simply by teleporting different pieces of them in different locations. Additionally, your Endbringer or Endbringer form gains a potent master power within its fogs. This power amplifies the trauma of a target's trigger event, forcing them to relive increasingly horrific versions of said event. It will also induce vivid, horrifying hallucinations that draw upon the deepest fears and regrets of those within it. At times, these nightmares also take the form as tangible constructs from the memories and fears of those trapped within it. Lastly, through your connection to this entity, you can also control the version staying within the testing world, allowing you even greater control of the world. You can also use this control to have your Endbringer or Endbringer forms fog directly teleport people into the testing world. If you have kaleidoscopic hells, you or your Endbringer can also access alternate versions of these powers, such as a fog of flame and ash, as long as it's overall equal or weaker in strength. Kaleidoscopic hells. For the want of a nail. Your access has reached even further. You can now view alternate realities of these testing worlds. Where different types of tests and results have emerged. Through this, you can summon alternate versions of your original roster of parahumans, each with unique abilities and characteristics based on the variations in their testing environments and the conditions they experience. For example, a testing world that is an infernal landscape or perpetual fire or brimstone, or a gravity ultra testing world that alter the way humans evolve. Another possible testing world where all humans are under mind control to be constantly happy and content even as their bodies perish. There could even be a testing world where shards have insects trigger instead. Each version of the testing world is as hellish as the last, if not more so. Some may even be completely dead as experiments could have gone overboard. Whenever you choose to banish people into testing worlds, you can choose which of the many worlds you have access to that you want them to go into. That's kind of cool. Retroactive change. You can retroactively alter events up to 3 months in the past, with the extent of the change directly affecting the level of pushback you will experience. Pushback causes details of your change to become blurry and beyond your control, introducing random elements that fit with the alterations you made. The more significant the alteration, the more unpredictable these details will become. The more changes made to the environment and people related to the change, the greater the pushback you will experience. Additionally, pushback increases with the number of people aware of the original timeline, as their collective knowledge creates resistance to the change. If there is more than 1,000 people aware of the original timeline, then alteration is practically impossible. When you alter the past, the new version of events replaces the knowledge related to the original timeline for most individuals. However, certain thinker powers can resist this alteration, allowing their users to retain information from the original timeline. Some powers may even grant the ability to perceive what the timeline was before the change, providing insight into both versions of events. The changes must meet these requirements. They must make sense and be possible within the context of the timeline. Additionally, you cannot add new information to people's minds. You can only replace existing memories. This limitation prevents you from affecting the past of individuals unrelated to the event are changing. For example, you can prevent a catastrophic industrial accident from 2 months ago that caused a trigger by ensuring a faulty safety valve is replaced a week before the event. However, pushback causes a minor attack on a facility. People directly involved retain their memories of the changes, and those who have died in the event are now alive, with the person who triggered never triggering here. Art of symbolism. When a person triggers their shard, the source of their powers scans the world for context and human concepts. This is why powers can sometimes seem illogical or oddly specific. For example, Taylor Hebert can control crabs because her shard interpreted them as creepy crawlies, similar to the insects she commands, even though crabs aren't insects. Similarly, Dauntless can create a lance that shoots lightning because the shard associated with a lance with the power to strike from a distance. But it wouldn't allow him to create something like enhanced eyesight, because that concept didn't align with the shard's understanding of what a lance should do. Your shard, however, is unique. It specializes in the use of human context, all the way down to human culture and ritualistic actions grounded in symbolism. This means your powers are shaped not just by random associations, but by the deep, often culturally ingrained meanings behind symbols and actions. For example, fire, in most contexts, represents destruction, and through a simple ritual invoking this symbolism, you could create a flame that annihilates whatever it touches. But fire is also a symbol of creation and the growth of civilization. Think of the fire that warms a hearth or forges tools. By tapping into this aspect of fire symbolism, you could turn a flame from imagined into fire that repairs and enhances technology, using the flames to weld broken machines back together or even upgrade them. Alright. God Chooser. An act of worship, including prayers, rituals, and offerings performed around or by you, generates energy that you can harness, with offerings generating the most. The energy produced is proportional to the sincerity and intensity of the worship. Regular, heartfelt prayers use more energy than casual or insincere acts. This energy is stored in a personal reservoir dedicated to the specific entity or deity that was worshipped. You can use this accumulated energy to summon these entities, granting them physical form as divine embodiments, golden spectral beings that exude a sense of divinity. Divine embodiments have a base strength level of up to 15 SP, 20 SP if you have neg entropy. You can expend additional stored energy to enhance their power beyond this base level. The more energy you use, the stronger the divine embodiment becomes. However, increasing an entity's strength by using more energy reduces the duration of its manifestation. By worshipping living beings, you can summon a divine embodiment that mirrors the original's abilities and skills, still limited by the base total of 15 SP. You cannot summon a divine embodiment of yourself. You can convert stored energy between different energy reservoirs, but this process is inefficient and results in energy loss. The energy loss is less if the two entities are related, such as beings from the same pantheon or alternate versions of one another, like Zeus and Jupiter. God Blast. Acquired worship. You can power your blaster ability with the energy you have gathered. This energy can alter the nature of your blaster based on the deity from which it originated. For example, if the energy comes from Zeus or Thor, your blaster may gain electrical properties. If it comes from Shiva, it may become extremely destructive, self-made god. Each time someone prays to you, the energy of their prayer is stored in a personal reservoir dedicated for you. This allows you to summon your own divine embodiment, which possesses all your powers except for Master God Chooser. Summoning and maintaining your own divine embodiment costs 3 through 5 times more energy than summoning an average divine embodiment. Furthermore, you can use the act of prayer directed at you as a vector for your abilities. For instance, you can summon a divine embodiment at the location where someone is praying to you. Mortal Pantheon. Required evangelism. You can gather prayer energy from places of worship, such as churches or idols where others have prayed. This energy is less potent than if you had been present during the prayers. Your next connection to those who pray to you has strengthened, additionally allowing you to hear their exact prayers. Additionally, you can grant your divine embodiments to others, bestowing upon them the strength and abilities of the divine embodiment. You can also imbue yourself with the power of a divine embodiment. When someone is imbued with a divine embodiment, their appearance changes to resemble the divine embodiment, gaining a golden hue and divine aura. If you imbue yourself with your own divine embodiment, the strength of your powers increases exponentially. However, this rapidly depletes your prayer energy reserve. Imbuing someone with their own divine embodiment boosts their power exponentially as well. The cost lower than when doing it to yourself. Asulhad Playwright. You now have awareness of a book of your life in the back of your mind. This book can be as detailed as you wish to read, ranging from a brief summary updated by day to an exhaustive account of events, including the number of bathroom breaks you've taken. It is retroactive, containing a complete record of your life and actively updates with your current experiences. The real power comes from your shift to when you shift the point of view. POV of the book to any person within your line of sight. The book will then start documenting their life from that moment, covering both their past and their near future. The longer you observe someone, the more detailed and extensive the book becomes regarding their life. This power also allows you to dictate how their life will unfold by writing events that could happen to them. These events, within logical boundaries of plausibility, quality, engagement, will come true. The people you write about will be unaware of your influence, believing they are simply living their everyday life without realizing they are being manipulated and controlled. Plausibility measures how likely an event is to occur, from a bodybuilder falling down the stairs and breaking their neck to Zion's core shard exploding randomly. Quality measures how well the event is written, avoiding plot holes, deus ex machina, and other inconsistencies that might undermine the narrative. Otherwise, vague wording or ambiguous syntax can create loopholes which others can exploit. Engagement reflects your shard's desire for a well-written story. It will actively help, hinder, or simply observe based on the quality of your narrative and how engaging it is. There it is. Or if they are hostile, neutral. Hold on. SCP-441. Description. So tunneling down to an antechamber connecting to a staircase, which says this staircase. This room is filled entirely by bookshelves. Each bookshelf is 2.8 meters in height and 100 meters in length, all neatly lined. The wide main walkway originates from. Every fifth bookshelf has an electric lamp installed, which are only light sources within SCP-4. As such, most of the space within SCP-4001 is poorly illuminated. No power source has yet been identified for the lights. The floor is covered entirely in this sturdy carpet. Individuals standing and on occasion loud thudding noises. The source of the sound is the origination of bookshelves and new books upon them, which occurs continuously without any source of material. It represents the complete archive of every human life to date and is continuously self-updating. Every human being that has ever lived has a single corresponding book within the archive detailing all important events from their life. As humans are born, new books corresponding to them are added to the archive. Each book is identical in size and thickness, approximately the size of a standard paperback novel, though the number of pages varies depending on the individual's lifespan and breadth of accomplishments. The exact dimensions of every book, regardless of the number of pages, is blah blah blah. Each book is completely accurate in its context, and thus SCP represents an unprecedented intelligent resource. Books are stored in order of individuals' births, and the spine and front cover of book is inscribed with the name of those it refers to. Each book is written in a language which is unlike any existing language known to the Foundation, while simultaneously being completely comprehensible to any literate individual reading it. The total number of books is estimated at approximately 120 billion. Each bookshelf is double-sided. Alright. Books can be taken from the shelves and read freely. Books can be scanned, copied, and photographed without consequence. If returned to any of the shelves, the book will vanish and reappear in its original location within the archives. Any attempts to remove a book from the archives results in the book's vanishing and returning to its shelf. The contents of the books represent the absolute truth and history of the individuals contained within. Altering the content of the books has a corresponding retro-causal effect upon reality, with memories, locations, physical structures, physical states, and even complete existences changing accordingly to alterations applied to the books. Writing a decision, meaning forward, change in personality, change in feeling towards individuals, change in health, method of death, or any other notable achievements or life in the book will cause that event to transpire for the appropriate individual at the first possible opportunity. Damn. The mental faculty. Your internal library has become a repository of books for the playwright, making all books from the POV of others gain 2 additional page colors. These colors are white with black letters that represent actual fact, no new true, black page with yellow characters as a below 50% certainty of the fact, and yellow page with white letters, with representing a fact with 50% plus certainty. When a book is composed of primary white pages and the majority of the minority in yellow pages, you won't need line of sight for it to update its pages anymore and is able to write on it even if you have another book chosen as a POV. As a result of the high resolution senses mental faculty gives, your book updates quickly and have other ways to be interpreted. Using other senses as examples, such as audiobooks, you still can choose one POV to update at a time unless the new condition is true. Bookmark, immersive storytelling. Your ability to immerse yourself in the stories of others has reached new heights through the Essel Playwright books. No longer limited to copying their skills, you can now replicate their powers, though with certain limitations. By deeply understanding and experiencing the life of another through their life book, you can replicate their powers. The process is not instantaneous and requires you to have read and internalized most of their life story, ensuring that you have a comprehensive grasp of their capabilities and limitations. You cannot exceed the original power level of the individual you are copying. If their power is diminishing, such as Eidolon's fading abilities, your replication will mirror this decline. If you possess the Super Diet SCP-4001 add-on, your ability to replicate powers is further nuanced. Books that update themselves can be used in tandem with the current point of view POV, allowing you to maintain some level of power replication even when not fully immersed in the target's life. However, these powers will never be as potent when using the full POV, requiring a deep immersion for maximum effectiveness. Clock King required Manipulator. Your mastery as a playwright has now intertwined with your unparalleled strategic abilities, transforming you into a figure of almost omnipotent influence. The book's predictive power has evolved beyond merely forecasting immediate futures. It now grants you the ability to simulate and visualize complex, branching scenarios that extend weeks, months, or even years into the future and anticipate every possible action, reaction, and consequence with near perfect accuracy. This allows you to orchestrate events on a vast scale, subtly nudging the lives of others with minute adjustments that set off far-reaching and intricate ripple effects, all meticulously aligned with your ultimate goals. Your talent for creating sub-plans has also reached new heights, no longer confined to straightforward linear strategies. You now weave vast networks and interconnected contingencies. Each decision and outcome is intricately designed to reinforce the next, creating a self-sustaining web of plans that adapt and evolve based on the unfolding circumstances. Even in the rare event that one plan falters, the countless backups you prepared ensure your overall strategy remains unshaken. This level of planning has effectively made you untouchable. Only the most unpredictable, out-of-context occurrences, beyond even the reach of your powers, could pose a threat to your designs. Moreover, the subtlety of your manipulations has been refined to perfection. Your influence is so embedded and expertly concealed that no one, not even those with enhanced perception or awareness, can detect the guiding hand behind their actions. Unless you choose to reveal your role, those who you manipulate remain blissfully unaware, believing their decisions are entirely their own. Damn. Shit, that's complicated. Brute slash striker, bare bones. Look at him. Brute slash striker, bare bones. Your body is your ultimate weapon, and nothing would be as reliable as your own flesh and bones. Every strike you deliver with your body, with no aid of any external weapons, whether it's a punch, kick, or a headbutt, etc., will always inflict disproportionate damage far beyond natural expectations, with a multiplier ranging from minimum times 2 to max times 1,000. This number will apply at random, but the more successful you land these hits, the higher the chances that a double or triple digit multiplier will apply. You have a secondary ability that would negate the effects of Newton's third law on your body after multiplier applies. This doesn't enhance your durability, it just ensures that you yourself wouldn't incur any physical damage, no matter how high the multiplier implied would be. You can turn this on or off at will, but do note that if you let the power on even outside a combat situation, the multipliers would still apply. From instantly trying to pet a cat and accidentally turning it into a meat paste to shaking someone's hand and crushing it, you have no control over how the multiplier would apply. Furthermore, you possess perfect balance and coordination, along with an uncanny, prodigious talent for mastering and accumulating hand-to-hand combat and martial arts techniques. Damn. Oh, okay. Oh, alright. I was reading action at a distance. The power you now possess manifests itself as an invisible, nigh invulnerable connect force that you can exert at will. This ability operates through mirroring your actions. By physically moving your body, you can generate physical forces whose motion and direction correlate exactly with your own movements, almost as if your limbs were the force itself. Essentially, this power produces telekinetic effects mimicking the motions of your body, whether it be your arms, hands, legs, feet, head, or otherwise. For example, you crush an individual by clenching your fist, picking up a large object by miming the action with your hand, or send the target flying away with a flick of your finger. Even if fully restrained, you could use the motion of your breathing to burst out of your constraints, or exert your power via your eye movement. You can also apply this force to yourself, such as lifting yourself into the air by imitating the motion with your hands. You have perfect innate control over the magnitude of the forces generated, their point of origin, and the precise size and shape of the area they affect. Total maximum force you can potentially output at once is roughly equivalent to lifting the Eiffel Tower. The speed at which your forces move directly matches the speed of your own motions. This power only operates through consciously controllable bodily movements, so actions like your heartbeat have no effect. This can be exerted from across the planet with no reduction in strain. However, you only generate forces when in areas that you're presently aware of. Significant overuse or outputting vast amount of force will drain your stamina, causing you to become exhausted. Bang! Required. Pew pew! Your ability to mimic firing any weapon by using the appropriate hand gestures and sound effects now works perfectly with action at distance, enabling you to remotely shoot at individuals and objects. You don't fire physical projectiles, but rather project your invisible kinetic force, instead having it act akin to the ammunition of the weapon you're imitating, using the same hand signs and sounds. You have complete control over these forces' magnitude, their point of origin, and the precise size and shape of the area they affect. You could shoot an arrow packed with the same kinetic force as a fast-moving truck, or fire a bullet the size of an 18-inch caliber shell. Motive force multiplier. Required unlimited potential. The maximum force you can exert through Shaker Blaster action at distance is now directly related to your own physical strength. As you train and grow stronger, your potential maximum force output increases at the same rate, with roughly every extra kilogram you can lift being equal to 1 metric ton of kinetic force. Furthermore, you can also push your limits by training Shaker Blaster action at distance to move heavier objects, for instance. This in turn feeds back to your body's physical condition, making it stronger through the proportional relationship between the two aspects remain the same. Using these two abilities together, you will soon push your strength to new heights with every game. Conceptual Tinker. You have been given the strange ability to scan any object, person, or power that is within 100 meters of yourself that you can see into a list of conceptual elements that make up said scanned item, much like chemical elements in a periodic table. You can then steal or copy these conceptual elements into a catalog. Conceptual elements copied or stolen in this form have two important components: concept and quality of concept. The former is determined by the underlying human understanding of the object, and about 100 different versions exist. The latter is determined by the strength of the item it is copied from and can range from 1 to 10. If an object, person, or power is copied, then you only receive a few random concepts from the scanned item, and you cannot scan the same item again for 24 hours. If an object's concepts are stolen, you destroy the object and receive all the concept that the object has. The same goes for powers, but you must have a consent of the owner of that power to destroy it. They can be mastered at the time of consent. You cannot steal concepts from a person. However, the point of scanning these items is to combine stored conceptual elements into new objects and powers. While simple powers like shooting a fireball may only require 5 or so concepts of poor quality, more powerful abilities like those found in Tier 3 abilities can require several hundred concepts of the highest quality. In effect, you are building powers and powered items, much like how a chemical molecule is made from individual atoms. While you can create a theoretically infinite amount of items and powers using this power, each item can only have a single power. Given that creation, and each power created alone expresses itself as a cauldron-like wow. As such, it is massively unsafe to give powers to someone who already has powers. Only the best. Art of symbolism. All your conceptual elements when used to create new powers now act as if they were only the highest quality possible. They cannot be broken down into lesser versions as if they were that level, but can be used for item and power creation at that level. Recurring purchase. Shard Supply Store. Any power generated by Shard Supply Store can be broken down into conceptual elements for conceptual tinker. However, the parts that were used to make that power will only respawn after a week. It just works. Heterochinaries. Your power can now give an unlimited number of powers to existing arms or people without any negative drawbacks. Trump. Earth power. You can obtain powers from minerals by touching rare earthen items such as crystals, high-quality pieces of stone/ore, sufficiently similar items such as amber and pearls. You can attune them to you, turning them into a focus that you can use to obtain various random low-mid level power expressions. Attuning a garnet or ruby could provide pyrokinesis or some manner of strength/speed enhancement. A piece of iron ore or alloy could grant ferrokinesis or magnetokinesis. An obsidian piece could allow you to generate lava or clouds of volcanic ash. There is no limit to the amount of minerals you can turn into potential powers at a time, aside from the energy reserves of your shard. But using your power expressions requires an amount of conscious focus. The average person can harness about 7 at a time without training or supplementary thinker abilities. You can re-randomize your power expressions with only a moment of focus, but cannot control exactly how they manifest. Jeweled Scepter. Scepter of Power. Your scepter can now be used as a conduit for earth power, allowing you to use your weak slots, copy or absorb any attuned materials, and access additional powers above your normal limit, as well as using your strong slots with Royal Scepter to supercharge your foci and access stronger, more versatile expressions, turning them into solidly mid-high level abilities. Cosmema. Eidolon, or David. Eidolon's randomized power set has combined with Earth's powers own, synergizing and unlocking new features in both constituent powers. You can now use Eidolon slots to supercharge one of your foci, enhancing that mineral's expression to the level of one of Eidolon's own powers while granting a degree of control over what power is gained, or a greater degree if Higher Priest was also taken. At the same time, you can instead choose to condense your EP powers into a greater whole, turning it into the equivalent of 2 strong Eidolon powers, or 4 weaker ones. Fantastic Jewels. Crystals. Your Tinkertech crystals allow you to maximize the value you can get out of your mineral granted power expressions. With the various types of exotic jewels and other crystalline items you can synthesize, granting you not only a wide array of powers and more esoteric abilities to access, but also an average slightly to somewhat stronger powers over naturally sourced minerals. A custom-built prism or lens could provide photokinesis, piercing energy beams, or even a shield to deflect attacks, for example. I think I'm done. Let's read this one, though. You can scramble how someone controls their body. Every try at moving a part is shifted to moving another one, and that shift is randomized every 5 seconds. The result is those affected have no chance of learning how to control their rewired body. This effect can be applied to anyone within 30 immunity or by leaving a mark on those you touch. This mark wears off after 1 hour. There's one limitation. Control needs to be purposeful in order for it to be effective. Breathing, no effect. The person you are affecting starts consciously regulating their breathing. Now it's scrambled. Anu. Your power is a conceptual fusion of both lung and eidolon. That is to say, your power continually ramps up through raging conflict, which grants you new temporary powers. Then again, it isn't to say you can surely exploit it with nothing, as an even outside of combat, your baseline grants you a low-level Alexandria package comparable to Glory Goals alongside an additional low-level bastard power and similar potency delay photon. As your power ramps up, your baseline continuously grows next to your vulnerability, branching out from general durability and adaptively developing immunities to the parahuman effects you're battling against or alongside. Your brute and blaster powers will similarly gain adaptive diversity to be more formidable against powers you are contending on the fights both sides for an eventuality. While your flight speed continuously increases, your mind simultaneously improving to perceive and function at your constantly dashing speed and growth rate. During this escalation, you'll temporarily develop powers meant to aid you amidst your battles, depending on the circumstances. These powers can fluctuate from solely meant for combat, i.e. a striker power meant to disintegrate what you touch, to utility-based, i.e. a thinker power focusing on target location. The power's growth rate is naturally equivalent to your baseline powers, though developing new powers will delay your growth rate. Finally, you can affect your growth rate. Like Lung, you are capable of charging up in anticipation of a fight to accelerate your ramping up. Yet, unlike Lung, you are fully capable of beginning to ramp up outside of battle, although it would be extremely slow, on top of only capable of reaching a mid-level brute and blaster for your baseline. Additionally, this control over your growth rises in effectiveness in combat, being able to steer it in certain directions, e.g. from focusing on escalating your invulnerability to directing it to develop a new power to assist you. Escalating God. Acquired Queen of Escalation. Your powers adaptations are now permanent, while still following the rules of your power and the need to wrap up into total immunity. At their base level, they make you resistant to those powers. Additionally, powers that you gain throughout ramping up now become permanent, yet your additional powers can be strongest when non-ramped up, is equivalent to a high T1 power. My many masks. You can create special masks that allow the wearer to transform into different forms, with each form tied to a specific set of powers. Each mask has a unique design that reflects the powers it holds. You could, for example, make a mask with dark, charged material with glowing cracks of orange and red that resemble molten lava. The eyes of the mask could shine with an intense fiery glow, while the surface would feel rough like scales hardened by heat. When worn, this mask would transform the user into a salamander-like creature with the ability to breathe fire. By improving on the design of the mask, you can cause these forms to unlock additional sub-abilities that complement the main power. For the early example, this might involve gaining resistance to extreme temperatures, the ability to absorb fire to increase strength, or even the power to bust their own bind. If you have other Tinker abilities, then integrating them into the mask may result in non-Tinker variants of them appearing in the form. These masks are not limited to their creator. Once made, anyone can wear them and gain access to their abilities. You now have a powerful regeneration, one that even works on several body parts that regenerate into clones. How long clones make depends on what they regenerate from. If you are perfectly cut in half, you can regenerate into two of you in less than an hour. These clones have separate minds but are loyal to you and each other. They will have all your perks and powers, however, they will be limited to being clones of your base form. You can fuse with your clones to become stronger versions of yourself, each one building on the powers. 100 of you fuse would be equal to 10 times your base power. However, the more you fuse, the more distorted you become, both physically and mentally. Certain traits may become exaggerated, and you may have issues mentally if a clone deviated too much from the original, which happens naturally the longer the clone exists independently. Completely mundane. You can see and by default interact with the world as if shard-based effects did not exist, facing straight through the results of all powers. Due to this, you cannot be targeted, detected, or otherwise affected by any power or results caused by the effects of powers unless you explicitly allow them to affect you. For example, you could be completely immune to impacts from objects launched transported via power, such as via telekinetic force of being teleported to fall upon you. Be unharmed Be unharmed by people made to hurt you by a master or thinker, unless they were going to attack you solely because of mundane influences anyway. Walk straight over / through gaps or obstructions caused by powers as if they had never happened. Take blows from a skilled thinker as if they had whatever skill level they naturally had. And ignore the effects of all tinker tech, etc. Tinker/thinker control. You are a tinker best explained as capable of building or designing anything you can think of, as long as it is related to the idea of control. You can put together any kind of tinker tech, no matter the field of or application, the sole restriction being its focus on administration, for example. Capable of concocting any substance imaginable, being contingent on easing others' suggestibility or mental defenses, creating relay rods to transmit information that is suspiciously rewriting people's minds, being receptive to your short-term or long-term plans. A virus facilitating the control of undesired information or news, establishment of systems controlling and improving the economy, logistics with all types of infrastructure, and automating socio-political processes and mechanisms that facilitate therefore social conformity, creation of surveillance drones, mechanical methods of building animal or human domesticity, like a helmet able to subvert control from any animal across 3 city blocks. Hell, a ray gun that bounds a person to your mindset isn't that far-fetched, etc., etc. With people, the environment, society, yourself, and anything that can be controlled to your advantages is responsive to your tinker tech. This specialty also covers the management and administrative side of control, capable of handling the multitasking necessary for any of your drones. With how completely intricate this specialty down to how abstract it is, you obtain a thinker aspect, providing insights over the idea of control, towing the line in the middle of intuitive or academically formal, finding it easier to understand power control dynamics on an organization or group, and having talent on managing large groups of people, knowing the most effective way of controlling your subjects. Proxy. Required remote control. Your drones are now multifaceted tools and proxies. You elaborate where your influence will not be denied. Meant for project/tinker tech management and proxies for your control. Your drone adapts and responds to any endangerment or opposition that threatens your influence. With improvements on their supporting technology, both assist and work towards maintaining as it is enforcing your hold on your sphere of influence, acting as outreach. They can take the control of agents to widen your control, so long as you configure your drone accordingly. Required memory fabrication, required emotions, required illusions. Your tinker specialties that gravitate around the manipulation of the mind and senses created the perfect tool set for psychological operations and warfare, creating technology and overarching projects geared to subtly influence and change the motives, reasoning, and behaviors of your subjects and within your sphere of control as well. Your emotional tinker tech supervises your subject's willingness to follow orders and ensures to keep it that way. Your elusive tinker tech to keep your subjects within a cave or mirage to the world, seeing what you wish them to see. And your remembrance tinker tech creates a controlled environment through a selective pruning or implantation of tailor-made memories that colors their perspective around their control, being more receptive to your whims. Alright, I am done. Thank you so much for watching, or reading with me, I guess.